Hello everyone, good to see you. My name is Ank Kleinmeulman. Our website is cwowi.eu, Church Without Walls International. We are a worldwide network of house churches. Go to our website, go to our main website, cwowi.org, and you'll find a lot of articles, videos, and everything you need to know, you want to know about how to live a relationship-based faith. But the videos are about our walk with the Lord and how to grow in Him. And today I want to talk to you about the story that we can find in 1 Samuel chapter 17, David and Goliath, and how to approach the Goliath in our own life, because it says in 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 11 that what happened to Israel happened to them as examples, and that was written for our instruction, so we can learn from it. The Old Testament is not to base your theology upon, but it's for our instruction and as an example. So what can we learn from the story of David and Goliath? Well, you go to 1 Samuel 17 and we'll just read some verses. Well, you know, of course, that it says here about Goliath. He was his height was 6 cubits and a span. And it says he was about 9 feet 9 inches, so he was a very tall man, and his spear even was very heavy. It was, what it says in my Bible, about 15-16 pounds. So that's who he was. And David, he was just a teenager, probably 14, 15 years, something like that, not even 18, because then he probably would have gone into the army. But the things that motivated David to approach Goliath is an example to us. We can learn from it. We can know how to approach our own Goliaths. And so much of the time we are just like the army of the Israelites. We feel we are inferior. We feel we cannot beat that Goliath in our lives. It feel we are just nothing. But David had another perspective, and he went after Goliath based on his covenant with the Lord, with a certainty, with a confidence. He did so based on covenant. And for us to approach our enemies, we have to know that certainty and that confidence in the covenant that we have with the Lord. So if you don't know what a covenant is, I did some Facebook lives about covenant. You can go there, and you can even email me, and I can send you a small PDF of our covenant with the Lord, which will strengthen you and give you the confidence that what God says He is and who He is for us and in us. You know that He certainly will keep His way of this, his part of the covenant. So you have to have that certainty inside, otherwise you can't defeat your own Goliath. So it says in verse 8 that Goliath stood and cried out to the armies of Israel, and he said to him, "Why have you come up to line up for battle? Am I not a Philistine? And are you not the servants of Saul?" He was saying, okay, I am a Philistine. I have the whole army of the Philistines behind me. You are just servants. You are just servants of Saul. You know, that's what the devil says. You are just a nobody. Who are you? You know, you come against this great battle, but who are you? You are just nothing. So, and actually in the natural, that was accurate. But of course, Goliath didn't understand the covenant with God that the Israelites had. So when the enemy comes against us, or circumstances sometimes, they don't know and they don't understand that we are in covenant with God. They see us as Goliath saw us. We are just servants of Saul. We are just normal people. You are nothing. And it's very sad to say, but even the army of Israel, they did not understand their covenant with God. But one boy did, a teenager boy, David, did. And oftentimes demons and the devil, demons will use people against us, because that is how the enemy works, or circumstances against us, the government, maybe bureaucracy, or maybe in your job that you feel other people are against you, and they look at you like you are just a servant, you are just an employee. Who are you? I am your boss. They see you as a number maybe, or just a person, and they don't understand that we have Christ in us, that we are children of God, that we have the mind of God. They don't know who they are coming against, so, and who is backing us up, who is backing you up. So you cannot think like, okay, I'm just a servant of Saul, because then you are not going to win the battle. So you have to think like David thought, and what he had in his heart and what he was confident of. I am in covenant with Almighty God. Then it says, okay, that he, of course, when Saul did this, verse 11, Israel heard those words, you are just servants of Saul. They were dismayed and greatly afraid. And then it says in verse 16, the Philistine, this Goliath, drew near, presented himself 40 days, morning and after. Wow, for 40 days he came up in the morning and in the after, and every time he said, I am a Philistine and you are just servants of Saul. You are just servants of Saul. You know, and that is a strategy that Goliath used, but also that the devil used against us. He is going to repeat the same thing over and over again. Interesting thing is when you look at the word devil, it is the word diabolos, and diabolos tells us actually his strategy, because the diabolos is from dia and balos, and dia means to penetrate, to go through something, to penetrate. And balos, we have the word ball, you know, from that means to throw. So he throws accusations, he throws lies at you, or half lies at you, over and over and over again, till it finally penetrates. Where does it penetrate? It penetrates in your mind. And you finally give in and you think, yeah, that's true, he is right. That is how a lie becomes eventually a truth to you, because that lie that was penetrated and throwing at you over and over again, it finally penetrated, and that lie became a truth. That is how the devil works. But you have to know the truth, and you have to know what is a lie when it does not fit with the truth. And David knew the truth. He knew, I am in covenant with God. That means my enemies are his enemies. In my natural, I cannot fight against Goliath, but I have the God of the armies behind me. So that is amazing. And people look at you differently, like they looked at our Lord, you know, like Jesus. He was not accepted in his hometown. Why not? In Mark chapter 6, you can read about it, because the people said, well, you know, we know his mother, we know his brothers and sisters. He's just the son of the carpenter. Maybe they say that of you. You are just the son of, do you know your family? Who are you? You know, and it's that thing that they look at the natural, but you have to look at yourself not from the natural standpoint, but from the supernatural standpoint. As Paul said to the Corinthians, from now on we regard no one to the natural, but we look at them as Christ is in them, Christ in us, the hope of glory. So what the devil does, it's the repetition that gets you down, morning after, over and over again. Are you not just a servant of Saul? But David did not respond to that natural. He responded to the supernatural. Then we go to verse 23, by the way. It says, okay, David came to his brothers, and then David heard what Goliath actually said to them. And then in verse 26, David says, okay, what shall be done for the man who kills this Philistine and takes the reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine, that he should divide the armies of the living God? And that is the point that David understood. We have a covenant with God. The circumcision was a sign of the covenant. But this Philistine, he's uncircumcised. He has no covenant with God. So he is in the natural, we look like we are nothing, but we have God behind us. We have a covenant with God, and we are the army of the living God. He is not a dead God, he is the living God. So the enemy's perspective says you are just servants of God, but David knew we have a covenant with God, and our enemy does not have a covenant with God. So you see how the enemy works. He works by repetition. He works by intimidation. He wants to make you feel afraid. And he tells you how things look in the natural. But you have to look at things from a different perspective. Not the natural, so the supernatural. Okay, in verse 36, let's go there. 32, David says to Saul, let no man's heart fail because of him. Your servant will go and fight with the Philistine. And verse 36, he says, your servant has killed both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them, seeing he has defied the armies of the living God. So he was going back in his mind, God helped me. I was a covenant with him, and he helped me to kill the lion, and he helped me to kill the bear. And maybe this enemy is bigger, but he's the same God. So remember what the Lord did for you in the past, and how he stood with you, and how he kept his covenant with you. And now, of course, it's a bigger enemy. And David said, okay, the Lord will, in verse 37, moreover, David said, the Lord will deliver me from the paw of the lion. He delivered me from the paw of the lion and the bear, and he will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine. So he did. And then Saul says, okay, you have to try my armor and so on. And David put it on, but he had not tested them and said, no, I cannot walk with these. I have not tested them. And he took them off. Meaning sometimes people say, okay, you have to try this because this worked for me. This scripture worked for me, or I did this, or I fasted for 40 days or whatever, and the enemy was defeated. But you cannot go by a revelation what someone else had, with someone else's armor. You have to go with your armor, with what you are what like David knew how to kill the bear, he knew how to kill the lion. So he went with what he knew. Okay, and he took those 5 smooth stones, and you know the story. And then he says in verse 45 to Goliath, he said, you come to me with a sword, with a spear, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies, whom you have defied. So it was not only against him, but against God, whom you have defied. And this day the Lord will deliver you into my hand, and I will strike you, take your hand from him, so that all the earth will know that there is a God in Israel. And it says, the battle is the Lord, and he will give you into our hands. Why did he say the battle is the Lord? Because he understood covenant. In covenant is everything the other person has is mine, and everything I have is the other person's, is God's. So our fights and our battles and our enemies are his enemies. So he will fight for us, and he will, because he takes it very personally, And our armor, whatever we have, small things, that God will. We can use his armor and the things that he has for us. So that is the way he delivered him. Of course, he took that stone, actually took 5, and he took that stone and he killed David, and he killed him with the sword. And that is how he defeated his enemy. So that's an example to us that when you have an enemy, or the devil trying to intimidate you or come against you, maybe circumstances, maybe he works through people. It's not your battle, it's the battle of the Lord. And you have to fight that, knowing that with whom you are in covenant. When you understand that, you will be strong, and you will not be intimidated by the big circumstance, by that big Goliath, whatever, or how things look in the natural, but you look it from a perspective of the supernatural. That God, when he is in me, God is for me, who can be against me? Greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. I hope that helps you. If you have questions, whatever you need, go to cwowi.eu, and I will happy to answer that. See you next time. Bye-bye.